And we are on. Hey everybody, this is KCR College Radio. You're listening to the award-winning Sound Estate here at San Diego State University. For those of you who are tuning in for the very first time, you can tune in at kcrlive.com, or if you live on the San Diego campus or San Diego State University campus or anywhere in the San Diego County, you can tune in at AIM 1610. For those of you who are tuning in on an Android or Apple device, you can go ahead and tune in on a TuneIn app. Just go to your Apple or Android app store and you search up KCR College Radio and find us on there. As I find my headphones, so sorry. So for those of you tuning in for the very first time, my name is Tisha Mora and this is my entertainment talk show, Tishtalk, where each week I choose a topic in entertainment and we talk about it for the hour. I have a guest come on. We have fun. If you want, you can also tweet at me at KCR Tishtalk. I also have social medias on Facebook, Instagram, and a YouTube account at the same handle at KCR Tishtalk. If you want to follow me on there, send me stuff on there. You might get it on the air. You might get featured in next week's show. Who knows? Which, speaking of, if you do want to be on the air with myself and my guest this evening, you can call in at the studio phone. It's 619-594-6982. I'll probably do it again at the half-hour mark if you guys want to call in and just talk on the air for a little while. It'll be a lot of fun. Besides my social medias, you can also follow KCR at Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube in there as well. So tweet at them. Be like, hey, I'm listening to Tish Talk. Hey, have fun. That's just kind of all the formalities. Formalities aside, it has been a good minute since we have been back. I'm glad to be back just on campus and in the flurry of all of the studying. I think I was telling my friends earlier that it's, I think, maybe the third or fourth week going into it, and I feel like I'm already in like finals mode. So if that doesn't show you how the rest of this year is going to go, I don't know what will. But anyways, updates with me. I guess over the summer, if you guys tuned in, I had a summer show going on during the break. If you want to tune in, oh, actually, that is an update. If you want to listen to that, or if you want to listen to any of my shows from the past semester during the spring, so like my season 1 and my season 1.2, I guess, whatever, it's on my YouTube at KCR Tishtalk. Anyways, let me go ahead and introduce to you my guest, and then we'll kind of get into the topic for tonight. And so my guest, if you guys have tuned in before, she has been here. This is my friend Florivel Graves. And say hi, Flo.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hello, listeners. How is everyone tonight?
Hope you're all doing well. So usually for my guests, I usually have them say their name, what they're up to, and I guess kind of how we know each other.
All right. So, hello, my name is Florivel, but for all you listeners, Flo would be probably easier. So just call me Flo. And I have known Tisha since middle school, and we got close during senior year of high school. And we have a lot in common, so I don't know why I never talked to her anytime sooner.
I know, right? I'm sorry. I'm a terrible friend.
I know. We shared the band room.
Oh, we did, didn't we?
Yes, we should have been closer.
I know.
But now here we are at adulting.
Oh, yeah. I love it so much.
Yes, it's a great grand time. And
grand old time.
Yes, currently I am doing things in entertainment such as acting, starting a YouTube channel, and touching into modeling as of currently.
Yes.
That's an update for me.
What is your handles for anybody who wants to follow you? I'll say it again at the end, but
so my Instagram is Florivel Graves, FLORIVEL Graves, like cemeteries, GRAVES. And then my Twitter handle is Florabelle, FLOORABELLE.
She gets a lot of responses. You know why? Because Twitter is a great source, and I was the one who told her to use it.
I know. I suck at social media, so
it's okay. It's a learning process.
It's a learning process.
I'm gonna be your PR person, right?
Right. Just I'm gonna hire you.
Dream job right there. Okay. So to get into the topic for tonight, there will be spoiler warnings, just to kind of give you a heads up.
Spoiler alert.
We'll kind of go into like non-spoilery things, and then we'll kind of get into the spoilery things. But basically tonight we are going to be talking about the recent blockbuster Stephen King's iteration of It. This year. As a preface, I hate scary movies.
I love scary movies.
I absolutely hate scary movies. I don't mess with them. And yet, this has to be one of the most my favorite movies of this year. That's saying a lot because I really genuinely hate scary movies.
Yes.
I don't mess with them.
The last time I was talking to her, I was raving about it.
She was. And
I was like, "Are you going to see it? Have you seen the original? Have you read the book? Do you know the story at least?"
I know it's a clown. I know that it stems a lot of people's hatred / fear of clowns, which is why I'd never watched it.
So I was just like, "You have to see it. You have to see it." And I'm so surprised
that I watched it.
That you watched it. And now I am here. I can interact. I can get your view. You can get my view. Non-scary to scary. Oh,
I know.
It's a magical time.
So to kind of like start off the conversation, for me, it was a scary movie, but it wasn't something that I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm like shook to the core, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Like, a lot of people have kind of been arguing that it's not really a scary movie. It's more, or not, I'm sorry, not a horror film, but more kind of like a thriller. And I kind of agree with that. I think there was a question from one, if you guys want to tweet at me, you can definitely tweet me any questions that you guys want. But also, I have a Slack community that I'm a part of for another podcast called the We Stayed Late podcast. Hey, shout out. And one of them, his name is Josh. He asked, do you think that the film is a prime example of the thriller genre? The thriller genre. I'm a radio host.
A learning process.
Yeah, he basically asked, is this movie a good example of thriller? And I want to say yes.
I would agree, yeah.
Just because it's, I mean, like any horror film, it has its jump scares, but that was really what was like the quote-unquote horror behind it. I mean, besides like the gore, which wasn't even that much.
Yeah, there was hardly any gore scenes. Like, I guess if you think about the fears or the manifestation as fears as how like they're represented in a gory state.
Yeah.
And the one scene, which I think is everyone knows, where it's the blood squirting out from the sink.
Okay, yeah. But whenever I think of gore, I just think of that as bloody. Whenever I think of gore, I always think about like limbs flying and you know stuff like that, like stuff you don't typically want to see. But at the same time, that blood scene is not something that you would typically see in real life. Hopefully, if not, go get your sink fixed, please. But yeah, like, you agree that it's more of like a thriller than it is kind of like a horror film?
I would think so, because I honestly wasn't that shook by it. So
it's funny because I say I wasn't shook, and yet the entire movie I was like clinging to my friend and I was like shaking the entire time. And after the fact, it was great, but I enjoyed it.
It was fun seeing everyone else's reaction
because you knew it was going to happen already, right?
Well,
kind of.
Yeah, I know, because I've read not all of the book, but I know details of it, and then I did watch the miniseries, so I knew what was going to happen, but I was expecting them to have a different take on it, or it to at least scare me a little more, because I had anticipated they were going to throw out some like really...
So would you say in this case, like the new 2017, it didn't really live up to the horror aspect of the original with Tim Curry? When did that come out? Like 80s?
Oh, that's a fun fact. So, fun it fact.
Oh, yeah.
It was in 1990, 27 years, 2017. It comes out again.
Yeah, so for those of you guys who don't really know the story, the main villain, enemy, monster thing in the books, he sleeps for
27
years.
And for 12 to 18 years, he's allowed to feast.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's why he's allowed to stay for that long period of time. So that's why it was like September, and then a year passed, and it was still there.
Okay,
because he's allowed to feast for 12 to 18 months. And then he goes back to sleep or slumber or things.
I don't know that. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so like about like a year and a half or so.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, yeah, they were pretty smart about doing this remake because it's 27 years between the original and now. And again, whoever I've been telling this, I'm like, this is speculation. It might be rumors, but I saw this post where they were saying that, so in the movies, it's obviously set in like, what, 80s, right? Is it 80s?
Yeah,
in the recent
80s.
one?
In the
80s?
recent one, yes.
Yeah, in the recent one, is set, okay, so the original one, they were set in like
it was the 50s,
50s.
And then 27 years into the 80s.
Okay, so now they've done it where the kids are in the 80s, and then 27 years later, it's going to be modern time via our time. And supposedly, again, speculation, I don't know how true this is, but it was a really cool kind of like take on if this is what happens with chapter 2, because they are going to turn this into a trilogy or like another. There's going to be more than one movie for it. Supposedly, in the movies timeline, this one is going to happen in circa 2016. And what was the big thing that happened in 2016?
The clown.
The clown sightings. That would be pretty cool. I don't know how true that is. I'm here for it regardless. I probably will watch it because I'm, for whatever reason, invested in this.
You're invested. You have to.
It sucks. I think the only other horror, quote-unquote horror or thriller series that I've really been invested in was probably like Paranormal Activity. For whatever reason, that was the only other one that I was invested in. I can't do anything else.
Not even like Jeepers Creepers or like Nightmare on Elm Street. Did you catch that Easter egg that
no, I don't know anything about those things except that they're scary and I don't watch them.
Because there's a scene where they're like talking about, I guess, someone went missing again. I don't remember the girl's name. I'm sorry, girl.
Betsy something?
Like Robinson? I don't know.
I don't remember. Anyways, yeah.
So on the movie theater, they had Batman and then they had A Nightmare on Elm Street, which I thought was funny because that's...
you're right. Yeah, I did catch that.
Yeah, that Easter egg. And it relates to the fear concept of like Freddy Krueger kills the kids because of like that fear. He needs to stay alive. It's like a survivalist. Like,
so that character is also kind of like it, where he needs to feast off of
their
human
fear,
flesh.
yeah, and fears and stuff. So I found that fun.
Oh gosh,
you really need to like see everything so you can like get.
I know.
Into, like,
I've been telling myself after considering, I'm like, wow, I really am invested in this movie series now. I'm probably gonna go back, watch the original, and then also read the book.
I want to watch the original with you. I want to see your reaction because I've never seen you react to a scary movie, so I'm like,
you see me react to a scary video game before.
Well, yeah, you hit your head on a board and that would...
Okay, quick side story. I think it was Halloween.
Yeah,
this was
Halloween.
In the prime time when the very popular clickbait game of Five Nights at Freddy's was a thing, and our friend Michael Sizemore had it on his computer.
Yeah.
And I had always seen gameplay, so I knew of the game. I was just like, I would
expect you would be prepared.
Composed?
Yeah, no. Like you know the jump scares, you know how they are.
Oh no. So a jump scare happened and I reacted so badly that my head swaying back and there's just a loud like onto like the headboard.
I know. And I was like, oh, Tisha.
It didn't hurt. I mean, it hurt after the fact, but
it's like my pride.
Yeah, it hurt my pride for sure. I wanted to cry. I can't do scary games. I can't do scary movies. The only thing I can really I like scary stories though. I'll read it. I'll listen to it. Like
but you don't want those visuals.
Oh no, I don't want the visuals. I don't do well. I listened to a podcast called the Lore Podcast, and I absolutely love it. And he actually is turning it into a TV series. So I'm like, okay, I think now I can kind of watch it a little bit more. Like I watched. I mean, it wasn't really a scary series, but like Hannibal on NBC. You know, I watched that, but it's kind of like desensitized me to gore, even though I haven't started Game of Thrones yet. I don't know how that's gonna go.
Start it, please.
I know everyone's been telling me to. I'm on like the second to last season.
It's honestly not as bad. It's more like war.
Okay, yeah, but like when I first started watching it, it was in high school, and my eyes were not trained to that, so I was like, no. I did recently watch American Gods though, and that is kind of at the same level of like explicitness, I guess that would be the best word. But anyways, those are really good. It's funny because I think going back to it and kind of talking about explicitness, it's and I was also watching an interview earlier. The kids do a lot.
Yeah. Did you think it was deserving of its R rating though? Because when
they
I
got
think
a lot
about
away with explicit content, explicit words for the kids.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the only thing, and I think the only other thing that they would need it to be R, and this will kind of start getting into spoilers, so sorry if we kind of ruined the movie for you, but also it's been out for 27 years if you watch the original / read the books. But anyways, the opening scene, I think, is probably the only thing they really needed for it to be R-rated. And I was telling Florivel in the car on the way here, watching that opening scene with Georgie and it, and for those of you, I mean, like I said, this is like spoiler-ish. I'm trying my best not to do it, but
I know
it's just
so hard. I'm sorry.
In that opening scene with Georgie and it, and they're interacting, and it, Pennywise is in the sewers, and he's like trying to get Georgie essentially. At that, when it happens, I was shocked
when
because
it happens.
Stop it. I have to take a break to kind of like soak that in. No, so when that scene occurs, I'm kind of like sitting there like, oh my god, like they went for it. That just happened within the 5-10 minutes of a movie. And usually, like in TV show horror films, or like unless they're really like notorious for showing gore and stuff like that, they'll save it for later on, or it won't really be in the beginning. And so for me,
or they'll like cut to black. It'll be
exactly.
like you'll know what happens.
Yeah, they'll cut away, or they'll cut to like the kids screaming or whatever. But no, they show the actual thing that happens to Georgie. And me watching it again, having no really big, I mean, I knew that spoilers, was gonna die. I knew that was gonna happen, but I just didn't really know how. So which shocked me even more. And so for somebody who didn't have any backstory to it at all, I was like, oh my god, this movie's going for it. Like, this is the bar they're setting it at, and they're just going from there. And honestly, in my opinion, they did a pretty good job.
Yeah, because in the original, in the 1990s version, they didn't show it.
Oh, they didn't?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So
I had to watch it, you guys. I'm gonna cry. It messed me up.
I'm surprised you actually took the initiative to do the 2017 before that, the 1990s, because
I know, it's funny because people are saying this is like the scarier film of the year, and I'm like, really? I didn't. Do you think? Okay.
Do I think it's scary?
Do you think it's scarier?
No. Do I think the other one's scary? No. It's kind of weird.
It's more like, and I've heard this comments about the old one too. I think like I've heard, the old one is creepier and more realistic, like what you were saying.
Yeah, like I was telling Tisha in the car, I feel like it was more realistic in the fact of how Tim Curry portrayed Pennywise, and it seems more of a psychotic person who just went off the wall. And then for Bill Skarsgård? Pennywise?
Skarsgård. The new Pennywise, yeah.
His Pennywise. It's more demonic, and it seems like it's an actual evil being. So, like,
did you not find him at least somewhat comedic? I was laughing through some of it.
Oh my
Pennywise.
Gosh. No, that's why I thought it was like more like humorous. Like, I was like, this is a comedy.
I mean, that's the nice thing though, and I think there was another comment that they made for a lot of commentary that I heard for Get Out, which was like the other really big thriller movie of the year. That it wasn't just dependent on the horror or like the scare aspect. Like, there's some actually really good writing in it. At least that's for me. Like, that's what I think. But like, so you don't really. Which one would you rate scariest, I guess? Or are they just on different levels?
I think they're just on different spectrums of like what I perceive as scary. Maybe I just don't find like clowns or just that aspect scary or that supernatural scary. So maybe I'm not the best to judge it for. So
it was scary to me. Entertaining, but scary.
So I feel like I would be more scared if Pennywise, Tim Curry's version, approached me, because I feel like that's more realistic, because I've seen clowns in real life, and I know people who are clowns for jobs and stuff.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, so maybe I wasn't into that like whole scary clown thing.
I'm sure somebody actually has a phobia of clowns. They'll tell us something else.
Yeah.
Tweet at me if you have a phobia of clowns, and what you think of the movie, because I'm sure it's completely different from what we feel, because that's not my phobia.
Yeah, I think it's just because, like, this Pennywise, it seems like an ancient, like, a very old school, like, how even his costuming.
I like it, though.
Yeah, it's different from your typical clown nowadays, where it's just, like, colorful and stuff. It's very, like, 1900s.
I like it a lot.
Yeah, I really liked his costuming. I thought it was really good, and his makeup, so I would deem him creepier in that demonic sense with how his makeup's been done and the smile he gives.
You know, he actually is doing that on his own. Bill Skarsgård or whatever. Like, it's not CGI. Like, that smile, he's like...
Yeah, like when he,
that
like...
lip pout
yeah,
thing,
like
he
that,
actually does it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually tweeted out a gif of it. But to kind of break away really quick, because we're doing new stuff here at KCR. Oh, by the way, new stuff. I'm actually the promotions director here at KCR.
Yes, everyone, congratulations. Yeah.
It's actually a lot of fun. Shout out to the management team, because you're all amazing, beautiful people. Also, if you're listening.
Hello.
But it's given me a lot of opportunities to work with other venues and stuff. And one of the venues that you can see your... it's like one of the best places to go, obviously, in San Diego, and to see your favorite artist perform is the unique venue of the House of Blues. It's small enough that everywhere is close to your dream band, and still kind of large enough to make it a party. So we are going to have lineups for giveaways and stuff like that on the website soon. But also, if you go to houseofblues.com, you can see the lineups for each of the months. They have some really good stuff, so I say definitely go check them out. But if you're not really feeling the music vibe and you don't want to go to a concert or whatever, or if you are and you're just kind of a little hungry, you can go get a burger, get a brew. Gourmet burgers, appetizers, craft brews, and cocktails are waiting for you at the New Eureka restaurant in the South Campus Plaza. That is in the south side of campus. It's open every night until midnight, and it's a great place to kind of either begin or end the night. I've heard really good stuff about that place, actually.
Ooh.
They apparently do yoga in the morning.
Wow.
Yeah. I was like, oh, if I lived on campus, that's actually pretty cool, honestly. So yeah, definitely check those places out. I'm not just saying that because I'm promotions director. I've kind of had experiences with both places, and I would say they're pretty dope. So that's my 2 cents. But to kind of jump back into it talk, I'm amazed at myself that I'm like still standing.
Did you think it would just like pop out and take you in the movie theater?
No. Okay, no, I did not think that, but I was.
Did you
constantly on the edge of
actually
my
think
seat.
you would cry? That's my question. Did you think it would bring you to tears, like going
like
in
out of fear?
Yeah, out of fear, going in.
No,
No.
I don't think so. It's like I said, it's not my phobia.
Okay.
I'm scared of.
I
Dolls.
well, you're. Oh, okay.
I don't like dolls. I don't like Chucky.
Aw,
You see how
Chucky.
reluctant I am to like mention it?
It's like I'll mention it and then he'll pop up.
No, it's more like I'll mention it and the people tuning in are gonna be like, "Oh, okay, I'm gonna remember that." It's for later on. I have enemies. I'm just kidding. I don't.
Yeah, I think the fear I have, it's weird. I don't like dolls either.
Mm-hmm.
So Annabelle, I don't mess with that. I would not.
I will say that like
I have
think
porcelain dolls though.
Oh no, I got rid of all mine. I will say that like I want to say like the internet has kind of desensitized it a little bit for me. That's just me. I don't really think it's. I don't know. I don't like them. Apparently they're showing them all off at Universal Horror Nights.
Oh.
Because like a cousin of mine works there. And I saw snaps and there's like a team of like Chucky people and I was like, no.
No.
Absolutely
Oh my
not.
gosh.
Can you imagine it's like Chucky and Annabelle? No.
My
I would be
coworker
down
said
for
I should.
an It place though.
My coworker said I should do Universal and like scare people. Cause
I would run in the other direction if I saw you. Because you can. Yeah, exactly my point. She just gestured toward me in a very. Don't stop doing that. You guys, if there's a red balloon in here, for whoever comes in after me, if there's a red balloon and I'm nowhere to be seen, and you know what happened if you watch the movie.
Oh gosh.
I'm gonna cry now.
Oh dang! I can't. I'm trying not to spoil it.
I mean, we're gonna get into spoilers. It's already the half-hour mark. We're getting into spoilers. Go ahead.
Okay, so the one scene where Richie is surrounded by all the clowns.
You know,
in the locked room.
Little sidebar, Finn Wolfhard, who is AKA my surrogate son / AKA like Mike from Stranger Things, he was saying prior to being a part of it, he's terrified of clowns. That's his phobia. So being in that scene surrounded by all those different clown stuff,
that's real.
Yeah, I'm like, oh my god. And also the kids didn't see Bill Skarsgård.
Yeah, they didn't see him
until I think the scene where he's
supposed to terrorize like all of them, I think, at once. Was it the one where
it was the scene where they're in the kitchen and Eddie had fallen through the ceiling?
The ceiling, yeah.
And he comes out of the refrigerator. That's the first time those kids actually saw Pennywise.
I remember watching Bill's interview saying like
was
the
this
kids
the one with
Conan?
No. I watched the one with Kimmel.
Oh, maybe it was actually Kimmel. But when he was in full costume, they hadn't interacted yet, and then he just has to go into the scene terrorizing the character Eddie.
Yeah, basically.
And in the back of his mind, he's saying like, "Oh my gosh, I'm terrifying this child." And then the actor Jason, Bill asked, "Hey, are you okay?" And then he's like, I love what you're doing with the character. I love what you're doing with the
Kimmel's the Kimmel interview that he had.
It's like, thanks,
that's
Jason.
So sweet.
And I'm like, I just picture the actor Jason saying that because I loved Richie is first and then Eddie. Like those are my two. I feel like they deserve a show together.
Out of all the kids in what they call the Losers Club, who's your favorite? I already said mine. It's Richie. I'm dressed up as Richie today, by the way, for everyone who's obviously not seeing me.
I honestly think it's Richie and Eddie. They're like on
the same level.
On the same level for me.
I like Bev too. She was cool.
Yeah, I like Bev.
Ben, is it Ben? No, Ben is.
Oh, the chubby Ben.
Is that?
Or are you talking about Mike?
Is that Mike?
No, Mike's the black dude.
I thought that was Ben. Oh no.
Oh no.
I'm gonna
Ben
look it up
is the chubby.
Ben was cute. He's a little cutie.
When he was talking about New Kids on the Block.
I know, yeah, that was pretty dope. There was an advertisement that was playing as I was trying to look up the cast, and it was for the movie, and it scared me.
Ben from Soch.
Ben from Soch, yeah, it's Ben. And then, Ben was pretty cool too. Everyone, this cast is
It was
fantastic.
very well casted. I love their whole.
It kind of makes me sad knowing that since they're going to do a time jump in the next one, they're not going to be in it. I mean, I hope they kind of like incorporate them as like flashbacks, if anything. Mm-hmm. But even that, it'll kind of take away from the storytelling, so I don't think they'll be able to get away with it very much.
Yeah. So I think they really set the bar high.
They
building
did.
The connection.
They really did. I think the only returning is going to be Bill, which, by the way, I have a question, kind of like a slew of questions from the Slack. From Chelsea W. Do you think Bill Skarsgård is a beautiful human being? And if not, why are you wrong? Followed by a bang Pinoy / Josh. Is Bill Skarsgård beautiful or just tall? I mean, I think he's attractive.
Yeah. I mean, I guess if you hadn't seen him prior to Pennywise, you'd be like, what?
Well, yeah. This is okay. We're talking about Bill Skarsgård as himself and not Pennywise. Don't be a part of that community, please. Because that's a legit thing. That's a.
Oh my gosh, is it really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Although what is it?
Social media, man.
It's more like Tumblr.
Tumblr.
Do you know that? Was it today where the internet was like, Pennywise and the Babadook are dating?
Oh yeah,
that's so
they're
cute.
they're the gay couple icon now.
I love it. I mean, like if you're on social media, you kind of understand that. But that's a whole other conversation we can have another day.
Oh yes, bring me back.
Bring me back. Yes, for sure. Yeah, I'm trying to like see like other questions about it, but it really is just kind of about Bill Skarsgård. I think he did great, honestly.
Because I never saw his other roles or
I think
his
other
works.
Big role was Hemlock Grove. And
yeah,
that's a Netflix series. Is that Netflix?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I watched the very, very beginning, but that was also a very long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't watched it recently.
So I was just going in with like no hopes, but I did wonder like how is he gonna portray it, because I guess from all his other works it's not the same in any aspect.
Well, supposedly, I think, like, again, I think his bigger work has been Hemlock Grove, which is still kind of like thriller horror. So I think he was saying in an interview that, like, I guess it's kind of like his genre. Like, he didn't even mean to be in the genre. He just kind of
it just chose him.
Yeah, which I honestly think was a good role, especially in as Pennywise. I think he did great. I think one of the comments I was talking. I had like done like this whole entire like list of like afterthoughts of the movie because I've been doing that a lot lately just to kind of like get it somewhere. And I wish I could have brought it, but I don't have it. I think there was a comment that I made where he's very unpredictable, and I like that. There are some moments, like we were saying, it is genuinely humorous. Like, it's ridiculous watching him try and scare the kids or doing weird clownish antics and not really understanding why it's happening. But there are some really strong scenes in there. You're like, wow, that's a thing that he did. Like, for example, in the same scene where they see Pennywise, the cast sees Pennywise for the first time and they're acting, and when Eddie falls from the ceiling, and like Eddie is like, I think he broke his arm or something like that, and he's like crying, and Pennywise kind of unfolds out of a refrigerator and then kind of starts crawling up to him and stuff like that. Oh my
gosh, I love the way how he walked, and he's just like,
I know.
It's like just a dancing.
He's essentially like mocking him though at one point. He's like, oh, and then he like pretends to cry and then starts like yelling in his face and stuff like that. And he's like, yeah, and he's really unpredictable, which I think you kind of need in like a thriller / horror film from like the monster, because it's like there's no fun if you know what's going to happen, essentially, at least with what he's going to do. And I will say that I think one of my favorite lines from that character in particular is I think a few minutes later in that scene where Billy comes down and he's like, what did he say? He's like, am I not real enough for you? Like, I was real enough for Georgie. Yeah. And I'm like, yo, this guy's savage. I cannot believe he just said
the look in his face when he turns around and he's like, I'm not real enough for you, Georgie.
I don't like that.
I'm like, what?
Don't make eye contact with me when you're saying that.
Okay. See, I could be Pennywise.
I don't like that flow.
I Snapchatted her while she was watching the movie, but I didn't realize.
So she Snapchats me. I think it was like afterwards when you Snapchatted me, because I think I was like, oh my god, I just watched it. And right after I watched the movie, I had to go, I think it was like dog sitting or whatever. And I'm alone at this house. Like, really big house. I'm alone. I just let the dog out. The door's open in the backyard. And I open up Flo's Snapchat. And it's like one of those filters that changes your voices and it's super, super deep. It's like, you'll float too. But it's like slowly zooms in on her face as she's making a very, very scary face. And it's just like this demonic voice saying, you'll float too.
Basically copying Georgie.
It was so scary.
I was like,
and then it's when she's
saved it. I'm gonna.
You did?
Yeah.
You send it to me?
Yeah.
And then it's funny because did you message me later on being like, I was gonna try and tell you not to watch it?
Yeah, I was gonna be
like, it's too late.
I know. I was like, I'm sorry.
It's terrifying.
I was like, this isn't gonna be healthy for your soul.
Oh no. Speaking of unhealthy things, before the movie started, since we watched it at AMC, I tried out the McGovers or something, the bar that they have at AMC's now, and they had which I didn't know that they actually did this. Apparently they do this for really big movies, like they did it for Wonder Woman, but they have like a themed drink for the movie. So I didn't get to see the Wonder Woman one, but I tried the Pennywise, which I believe, for those of you who are 21 and up, it is vodka, strawberry puree, I think sweet and sour, I think is what she said, and then like a strawberry. Ooh. It was really good, actually. It wasn't enough for me to be like, woo, I'm going to watch this movie and not remember it. Yeah. It was enough for me to be like, I'm going to loosen up a little bit. It's only for me to be completely scared throughout the entirety. Like, I was sitting there and during the previews, I was like, this is the worst idea because I can barely contain myself during the previews. Imagine how the rest of this movie's going to go.
This is either going to hinder me or help me.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, it didn't really do either, honestly. It just kind of got me hyped. Yes. It was really fun, though. But, yeah, I think going into preview day or premiere day, the movie had 90%. I think it kind of dropped down to 86 with more reviews afterwards, but that's still a really good review.
Yeah, that's still really good.
I think it's pretty deserving of that review. Do you?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. Like you're right about, it's like 86 is a good number. Should it be higher? Should it be lower?
I think 86 is just like the good.
Solid.
Yeah, solid. Because I would rate it 8 out of 10 for me. So.
Yeah, I agree.
I was like,
Like I
I'm
enjoyed
thinking
it.
if compared to like the original and the series, I mean the book,
Mm-hmm.
how much it retained in like at least the themes, and I think they retained the high themes, the key points.
That's good. This was supposedly Stephen King's favorite rendition of it.
Oh,
Yeah, like he said in an interview or he tweeted it out or something like that, saying that this is his by far his favorite, because he has a say in the production of the movies and stuff like that too. So it's not like it's completely out of his hands. But he really liked it. It's funny because after the movie came out too, he was like, I think like the day or two after it came out, he was like, if you're waiting for part 2 and you're sad that it's coming out in 2018 or 2019, you can always read the book.
you could
like, dang.
read the book,
Which
Savage.
I will be doing. I'm gonna read it and then I'm gonna watch the original
Because I'm trying.
because I want to be able to compare.
It's
the
really
two.
hard because it's hard to not do spoilers because I know at least a lot of the
You can
storyline
spoil
for
it.
the
I told you it's okay.
the novel. So
Oh, are you trying not to spoil it for the audience, or you're trying not to spoil it for me?
both.
Or both? Is it both? Is it significant? Like they didn't touch on it in the movie? Because I will read the book before the second one comes out for sure.
Yeah, there's just like little things. I don't even know if I'm allowed to say it on the air, so I just don't know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
I think I know what you mean. Okay, yeah, we won't. There was something
share
that
with you
like
later.
I didn't really understand, and I did have to look up later. Actually, our friend Cameron, looked it up. Deadlights. Can you kind of give a little bit of an explanation to that?
So, I know of Deadlights too, but it's a weird concept to explain.
It's basically what Bev saw, right?
Yeah. So when she looked into Pennywise's eyes,
I thought it was his mouth.
or his mouth.
In
There's
in
just
the new
like
one, it was his mouth.
yeah, his lights, and then it kind of puts you in a trance. And in the novel or the book or the 90s movie, it also happened before, but it never happened to Bev. It happened to Audra, who is Bill's wife in adulthood.
Okay.
So she was the only one that actually survived Deadlights. I don't remember quite what it was meant for or what it's about.
I think from what Cameron explained to me and what he looked up, he said the Deadlights is like because Pennywise is he a demon or is he an alien?
That's
Sorry,
the thing.
spoilers.
Stephen King described Pennywise as a alien demonic
So he's kind of like
entity.
both, essentially.
And is it really a he?
I mean, he can change whatever form he wants to be. You
No,
clearly saw that he
it's-
can be a
it's-
woman, so.
No, it's literally a female.
Oh, really?
That's why, yeah.
I didn't know that.
So
Oh, wait, I think I saw somebody being like, yeah, it's a female spider. And I'm like, what?
yeah, so in the end,
It's a clown.
Yeah,
Understand.
so in the end of the original 90s, the thing that the loser club battle, the true form, or I guess
Is it
the truest
gigantic
form
spider?
that they see is a giant spider.
Why?
And apparently it's pregnant. So
Ew.
yeah, and
Okay.
it's hinted that Stanley's the only one that sees us because Stanley in the loser club, he believes in more logic, and once he believes in it, he will get more invested into the logic behind it and noticing those little things. So I guess he was the only one that actually noticed the fact that she was actually a female.
That's interesting.
And that
I didn't know.
it was actually pregnant, which I guess makes sense of the survival nature of the creature. And it needs
I
to
guess.
feed, and
Yeah.
like it's
Yeah.
like wanting to go to like that extent.
So Pennywise has been like pregos for like literal like years.
See, that's the thing. I'm not sure
Like,
because
not-
I'm like
not even years, like
27.
decades?
Like
Like decades.
that's why I was like,
That's
I
interesting.
don't know how that correlates because I don't know if it explains that toward the end of the book or something.
I'm gonna reread it, or not reread it. I'm gonna read it soon. I'm pretty soon because I really do want to know.
I always see it
understand.
at Barnes, so every time I see that nose, I'm like,
Yeah, I work at Barnes & Noble, for those of you who don't know. They have a lot of different copies of it now.
Oh.
They have the smaller one, which is still it's a really, really thick book.
Yeah, it is really
They
long.
did put out a new cover for it, which is just kind of like the outline of Pennywise's clown makeup. And then they have the movie title. It's up to your discretion which one you want, but it's all pretty much the same stuff.
It's like 1,739 pages.
I kind of want
or
the
something.
nice big book,
Yeah,
but
the
it's
nice
also like
big
$30.
chunk. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
that's a pretty penny.
It's a pretty penny, but it's also very, very pretty. Oh, goodness. It's a really pretty book. I'm going to ignore your comment. Oh, wow.
I love puns.
Yeah, oh my gosh. I can't get over it. I really did honestly enjoy the movie. And
It's really good. Everyone should really go.
Yeah,
see
seriously. If you guys haven't, which I'm sorry if we spoiled a lot for you at this point, but if you guys haven't seen the movie, it's fantastic. The acting is great. The kid cast was amazing. And it's funny. Okay, so going into the casting part of this talk, like I mentioned that Finn Wolfhard was Mike from Stranger Things, which is kind of the thriller horror genre that it's kind of in. It's not like completely scary, but it is thriller. I'd say Stranger Things is a bit more sci-fi too.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess if you get down into it, so is it. But I think last semester I did like a essay on Stranger Things in one of my writing classes. Shout out to Professor Shepard. Yes.
Woo.
And I got like a perfect score on it. I was like, yes. But one of the things that I hit on, because I was kind of talking about how Stranger Things isn't like, this is why people think it's a horror film or horror series, even though it's technically not. One of the things that they add and they take away from the horror aspect is that they use a kid audience or a kid cast, and they do the same thing in it, obviously. And if you look at movies that have kind of used kids as their main basis, it's kind of scarier because we as adults, or at least older audiences, we see the things that kids don't see, or we know how to react to things that the kids don't know how to react. Or like they're like, it's kind of like the concept of, oh, don't open the door or whatever. Like you know how you're like watching and you're like, she's right behind you kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's like that aspect, but you're watching kids kind of trying to figure out what's going to happen or how to fix things, and they don't know any better. They're kids. Kind of like what you see in Georgie in the very, very beginning. So even though he kind of had a sense, like as an adult, they would have been like, no, and then like bailed out. But the kid was curious and innocent enough to understand it. And I think that's the biggest thing.
That's
is that
why I
having
like
a kid audience.
Yeah, I love that theme
crew.
of that loss of innocence.
Yeah, and that's what makes it so scary. It's because like they don't know any better. They're not adults, and which is like fine. But that adds to the aspect of these kids. We inherently have like this calling to try and protect these kids because we as adults we just want to naturally do that. So sitting in a theater and seeing these kids fend for their lives against this demonic clown really adds to that, and it makes me really genuinely think about like, oh my god, don't do that.
Don't do it.
I'm not bringing any of my kids to circuses. Just kidding. They need to experience
everything.
I don't think circuses are a thing anymore. Which that's actually, as we're kind of like closing up the show in about like 10 minutes or so, was a comment that I heard that because it got moved into the 80s, it kind of took away an aspect of Pennywise being a clown. Because by the 80s time, circuses weren't really as big of a thing, right? As say like the 60s.
The 50s.
50s, sorry.
Yeah. So I know in the original and in the book, Pennywise uses monsters like Frankenstein, like mummies, which are typically the scary characters in 16, I wonder. Yeah, like the scary aspects in the 50s, and it kind of wouldn't hold that same effect in 2017. So they were trying to figure out how to do that without like going so far away from the original. And I think it was actually funny because when he starts to terrify Ben in the sewers, he transforms slightly into a mummy, if you notice, that's wrapping around. And that was kind of an ode to the book.
Oh, you're right.
Because you might be wondering, like, why a mummy of all things? Yeah. So it was because he used, like, those scary characters in the book. Like monsters, like Frankenstein.
Which,
like
speaking
those.
of, since you mentioned Ben, the little bigger Ben from Soch,
Ben's
What was
also-
his fear? Because if you so for all the kids, like I said, Richie, Mike Wolfhardt's character was
It's
clowns. Eddie's was a leper.
Yeah, Eddie's was a leper.
Billy was seeing dead Georgie, essentially.
And then
Stanley was the
lady
from the
lady in the
painting.
painting, and then Mike was his
parents dying in like a
fire.
fire. Bev was the weird blood thing / her dad. And then Ben had a couple different ones too. You said the mummy in the sewers, but then also when he was in the library, that thing was chasing him that was like headless and it had Easter eggs. I didn't understand what his horror, what he was supposed to be afraid of. Do you remember?
What was the one that was he?
It was like a headless zombie monster thing that had like Easter eggs, and then it turned into Pennywise, and then he was chasing after him. Do you remember? And then like he bumped into the library, and she's like,
yeah,
"What are you doing down here?"
I don't know if it was just zombies or like that scary aspect.
I didn't understand the Easter eggs.
I don't remember.
Was that an Easter egg to something else?
I know.
Because I know he does that with his movies. Stephen King. He does that in a bunch of his movies.
So there could be. I'm gonna look into it.
For
now.
anybody who is listening and understands what exactly was Ben's fear, tweet at me or let me know. I really am curious. That was something I actually didn't really think about. I just like. I honestly don't. I don't know. I don't really. I didn't understand that. That was one of the things that really confused me. I was like, because all the other kids had
like
fears.
You pinpoint, yeah.
Oh, I think one more thing that I was a little bit confused about, and that
Turtles?
we didn't.
Oh,
yes, no, but it was the bully's name. What was his name? The main
Henry.
bully. Henry.
Henry.
What was his deal?
So, for Henry, he grew up with an anti-Semite kind of father figure, his dad. So he just latched onto those things, and that's why he's the bully. And then in the film, also that's why he also hates Mike so much, because of his father's correlation with Mike's father. So there's a lot of
like they had history or whatever, right?
yeah. And
I think you mentioned that towards the end.
Mike's family actually doesn't pass away in the
books.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So there's a lot more backstory with Mike's family.
But I also heard that his fate is a bit different in the books, whereas now in the series it's completely different, because I don't think we're going to see this character after this movie.
Well, you don't actually know, because I read, you never technically see him die. You see him
that
fall.
Homie falls down a very, 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 very deep
because his role actually plays a larger part in adulthood. So I don't think they would kill him off.
That's what I've heard. So I think, again, I understand this is spoilers, but from what I've heard as an adult, he essentially takes the blame for everything that Pennywise did, right?
does,
and
then he gets put into a psychiatric facility.
What I wonder though, what they're doing in the movie version for this recent one, somebody was saying that like when he essentially kills his dad and he tries to go after the kids, that shows the effect of Pennywise on the town. I'm gonna sneeze.
I would say yes, he's like a tool for him to use, because everyone I think assumes that Pennywise has full control of the town. I also always wondered, like, you never really see any adults. Like, you see them around.
You see a couple of them. There was Bev's dad, the weird pharmacist dude, who was creepy,
and they're
by
all
the
like
way.
males.
mom.
You never see the one mother or two mothers. You never actually see interaction. You never see Bill's mother.
That's
you never
true.
see.
Well, no, you do see her in the very beginning. She was playing the creepy piano, and that was it.
Oh yeah, like they're all like subtle, like just they're all there. Like the adults are there, but they're not actually doing anything. And I find that very amusing.
Telling.
Yeah.
Oh, and there was an old lady who kind of saw Georgie in the beginning too, when it was raining.
I know.
I
find that so amusing that she just sees a child talking to a sewer and doesn't
not be concerned.
like.
What?
And then she just sees blood, and then she's like, "Oh, better go inside."
But I think it's telling though, because from what I
Yeah.
heard, that the adults know what's happening in the town.
The most they do is set the curfew, and they don't really legitimize it. It's like
Yeah.
not even. Yeah, we have a curfew.
That's
Here it
interesting,
is.
man. I don't know how that would. It'll be interesting to see what'll happen in 2017 or
Mhm.
2016 in the movies.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, sorry, that's what I meant. It'll be interesting to see what happens when they take it officially into modern times. By the time it happens, what I think a couple years from now.
Mm-hmm.
But let me know what you guys think in terms of where this franchise is going to be headed. One of the other big things that I wanted to talk about was fan casts, but I think we'll probably leave that for online stuff. So let me know what your fan casts are, because we are running out of time, unfortunately. But let me know what you guys think. I did want to kind of experiment with new format, but I might save that for another time. I kind of like where we're at, so I think I might stick with it. But
Nice.
anyways, Flo, thank you for being on air with me.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. You will hear more from her. I will, when this eventually goes up on YouTube and stuff like that, I will link to all of her stuff in the bio and everything, and her Twitter handle and everything as well. As for me, my name is Tishimura. I have been your host, and this has been my entertainment talk show here at KCR, Tishtalk. You can follow me at all social medias at KCR Tishtalk, and you can also follow the station at KCR College Radio on all the social medias as well. Next time, you can tune in at kcrlive.com or at AM1610 or the TuneIn app on Android or iOS devices. And you can also call in next time. Feel free to call in 619-594-6982. And that has been it from us. Again, this has been KCR College Radio, the award-winning sound of state here at San Diego State University. Thank you guys again so much. I will see you guys next Friday at 8 p.m. So make sure you guys tune in then. And we'll see you guys real soon. Have a good night, everyone. Bye.
Goodbye.